This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we have seen about how to download and install Eclipse and how to develop a Java application in Eclipse IDE. And we have even started with the basics part where we discussed about the meaning of comments, keywords and variables. Today, let us move to the next one, that is data type. Now, the meaning of data type is like once we allocate memory space for your variable, like example, if you are allocating space for age, then what type of data we store here? Something like a numeric value without any decimal point. We call it as integer. We call integer. So if you are allocating some memory space like address, so generally in address we go with something like a collection of characters, uh, or collection of alphabets, or collection of alphanumeric, which we call it as string. If you are going something like price, so we generally go with a value something like 55.50. So a numeric value with a decimal point, we call it as float. So the type of data what the variable is holding, that we call it as data type. So how to define a data type is type of data the variable holds is called as data type. Now, in Java, we are having two types. Of data types. They are primitive data types and reference data types. Primitive and reference. Let us initially go with primitive data types. All the basic data types comes under primitive. Like int, float, all these are primitive. So let us understand more about primitive types using a diagram. In Java, we are in totally 8 primitive data types. Remember the count to get the list. In Java, we are in totally 8 primitive data types. Let me draw the table to list out the primitive types. Data type, size, and default value. Default value concept is very important. So we are having the data types like byte, short, char, int, long, float, double, and boolean. So these are the 8 primitive data types, and all these are keywords. So whenever we say keywords, all are smaller case letters. Coming to size, so before we understand what is size, let us understand how to declare a variable. Declaration of variable. So whenever we want to store some data into the variable, we have to allocate some memory space. Then only we can store the value into the variable. So in order to allocate memory space for variable, we need to declare it. What is the need of declaration? In order to allocate memory space for variable, we need to declare the variable. And the syntax of declaring the variable is, syntax means the rules of language. The syntax is we go with the data type space variable list separated by comma, like variable 1, variable 2, like that variable n. and in Java every statement should end with semicolon. Like example, you can say int a comma b. So a and b are what type of variables? Integer. So what is the meaning of integers? A numeric value without any decimal point. Like examples 25, 87, 0, minus 75, like this. Even positive sign, negatives including 0 comes under integer. The character C. So what do you mean by character? What do you mean by character?
Single letter.
A single letter. Any single symbol enclosed in single quotes. A symbol enclosed in single quotes, like any symbol. It can be A or P or 9 or star symbol, like this. They should be enclosed in single quotes. Only one symbol should come. They are the examples of characters. Then float F. Float F. Examples of floats are like a numeric value with a decimal point. Even positives or negatives. Now, once we declare the variable, how much memory space it is going to use for the variable? That is the meaning of size over here. How much memory space it is going to use. So if the variable is of type byte, it occupies 1 byte of memory. It goes with 1 byte. Short means 2 bytes. Short is 2 bytes. Character also 2 bytes. Integer 4 bytes. Long 8 bytes. Float 4 bytes. Double 8 bytes. And coming to Boolean, Boolean can store only 2 values, true or false. So to store true or false, it goes with 1 bit. Like example, so when you go with Boolean type of variable, Boolean b1 equal to true, Boolean b2 equal to false. So when we go with a value true, the internal value what it stores is 1, false means 0. So to store 1 and 0, we require 1 bit of memory. So for Boolean, it goes with 1 bit. Coming to the next important term, default value. So when you go with the programming languages like C or C++, and when you declare a variable like int m, then it is going to allocate memory space for m variable. It's going to allocate memory space for m variable, and the value what it holds, the value what it contains is, we cannot say what value it contains. Like example, it may go with some value which we cannot know what value it contains. So this value we call it as garbage or unknown value. We use the term garbage or unknown value. So we don't know what value it contains. Coming to Java, when you declare a variable like int m, it's going to allocate memory space for m variable. In Java, there is no concept of garbage values. No concept of garbage values. Since m is of type integer, it goes with a value called as 0 here. It goes with a value 0, and this concept we call it as default value. In Java, there is no concept of garbage values. In Java, it goes with default values. So whenever we declare a variable, and if you are not giving any value to the variable, in Java it goes with default values. It won't go with garbage values. So the default values are like for integral types. So what do you mean by integral types? A numeric value without decimal point, like byte, short, integer, long. The default value is 0. For character, a single space. And for floating types, means a value with a decimal point, the default value is 0.0. And for Boolean, it is false. For Boolean, the default value is false. Let me write once again here. Default values for integral types like byte, short, int, long, the default value is 0. For floating types like float, double, the default value is 0.0. For character, a single space. And for Boolean, it is false. For Boolean, it is false. Now let us understand why they have given 4 different integral types and 2 different float types. Now, when you take a variable of type byte, in byte, we can store a value between -128 to 127. When you go with a variable of type byte, we can store a value between -128 to 127. This concept we call it as range. The range of byte is -128 to 127. Now, if you want to store a bigger value than byte range, then we go with short. So when we go with the short, we can store a value between -327,682 to 32767. This is the range of short. If you want to store a bigger value than short range, then we go with integer. If you want to store a bigger value than integer range, we go with long. Similar way, if you want to store a value which is more than float range, we go with a double. No need to remember ranges. No one will ask you about the ranges. Right? Now, so like example, my requirement is to store a value 125. I want to store a value 125. Then which data type is preferred here?
Byte.
Byte. Very good. We go with what? Byte. Okay. So if I use long, unnecessarily, the memory will get wasted. So to store 125, I require only 1 byte of memory. So we go with what? Byte. So in order to save the memory, they have given different data types to us. Right? Clear this concept, all of you? Any questions? Right. Now, coming to reference data types. Other than this 8 primitive, remaining all are reference only. Examples like arrays. In Java, arrays comes under reference, and even the classes comes under reference. When you say classes, it can be your predefined classes or user-defined classes. User-defined classes. So what do you mean by predefined? Means what Java has given to us already. The classes what Java software has given to us, that Java library has given to us, that we call predefined. Like example, string is a predefined. System is a predefined. Exception is a predefined. Thread is a predefined. Array list is a predefined, like this. Then user defined. User defined means our own classes. Our own classes like employee, student, customer, okay, account, like this. Our own classes comes under user defined. So whatever the class it may be, either predefined or user defined, comes under reference type. So more about reference type we'll discuss when we start with arrays topic. For now, in this basics, we'll concentrate only on primitive types. Now, we are having some important points on data types. Default values. Just now we discussed about default values. No, this default values concept is very, very important. So these default values are applicable only to the data members of the class. Data members of the class, not for local variables. So what are data members? What are data members? Declared within a class. The part of class are data members. Then if you declare a variable within a method, if you declare a variable within method, they are local variables. So other than local variables, remaining all are data members. Let me elaborate this point. If you take a class sample, and whenever we declare a variable a part of class, if it is a part of class, then we call it as data member. Now, if you go with a method like ppp, inside the method ppp, if you declare a variable, so this we call it as method. Whenever we see parentheses like this, they are called as methods. We'll discuss more on methods again. So here it is a method. Inside a method, if you declare any variable, we call them as local variables. Call them as local variable. Part of class is data member, part of method is local variable. Now if you print the value of n, so how I am printing? SOP n. In the document now onwards, whenever we use SOP, indicates system.out.println. In the document, whenever we use SOP means system.out.println. What is the use of this? Use it to display messages or the value of variables or both onto the screen, or both on screen. Right? So whenever you want to display variable or message on screen, we use system.out.println. In the document, I am using shortcut SOP. Now, to run a Java program, which method is required inside the class? Main method. We require main method. I am writing only part of the main method. Now, inside main method, we are creating object of sample class. How to create object? I said first in introduction. How to create object? Class name sample s equal to new class. So whenever you want to create object in Java, we go with the class name, some object name equal to new class name. Now by using this object, if you print m value, since m is of type integer and we did not give any value to integer, so it goes with what? Default value 0. If you are not giving any value to this m, it goes with default value 0. Now by using object, if I call the method ppp, so when you call the method ppp using object, it will go to this method ppp, and we have taken one variable n and we are printing n value. Then what is the value of n it is going to display for us? What is the value of n? Can you guess the answer? See the point here? Default values are only to data members, not for local variable. So here it won't go with the default value. So if you are giving the answer like default value, it is an error. It is what? Not correct. Since there is no value to local variable n, and if you are trying to use that variable either for printing or processing, in Java this will go with an error. So if you are having a local variable without any value, and if you are trying to use that variable, then it goes with error, and the message is local variable n should be initialized. Local variable n should be initialized, meaning whenever we go with a local variable, we should give some value to local variable before using it. Before using it, we should have some value to the local variable. If there is no value to local variable, and if you are trying to use it, it goes with error. So what is the point here? Local variables need to be initialized. Local variables need to be initialized. Clear this point? Any questions? No. Next point, memory allocation. Memory allocation for reference data type is done during runtime using a new operator. So whenever you want to allocate memory for reference data types, it is done during what time? Runtime, when you are running the application using which one? New operator. That since class comes under reference type, so when you are creating object for your class, so we are using the new keyword here. So more about this point we'll discuss when we start with object oriented. Default value for reference data type. Default value for reference data type is null. Like example, if you take a string s, if it is data member only, because default value is only for data member, and if you are trying to print s value, it goes with null. It's going to display null here, right? So any questions, anyone? Right? So what we discussed here, so we have seen about data types. In Java we are having two types. They are primitive and reference. Primitive and reference. Okay, so all the basic data types like byte, short, char, int, these data types comes under primitive. Other than primitive, remaining all are reference. What are reference? Arrays and classes comes under reference. Now, let us move to the next concept here, typecasting. Typecasting. So what is this? Typecasting is converting one primitive data type into another primitive data type, or converting one reference data type into another reference data type is called as typecasting. Is called as what here? Typecasting. So what is typecasting? Converting one primitive into another primitive, or one reference into another reference. One reference into another reference is what? Typecasting. So let us understand about primitive conversion only today. So, and we are having two types of casting. We are having two types of casting. They are implicit casting, and one more is explicit casting. Implicit and explicit. Let us initially go with implicit casting. So implicit means auto conversion. Implicit means what here? Automatically it is going to convert. So when it applies implicit is converting lower data type into higher data type. Converting lower to higher. So how to know which is lower and how to know which is higher? By seeing the sizes. We have to see the sizes here. So like example, short is lower than long. Integer is lower than double, like this. So we have to see what here? Sizes. Now let us understand the examples. If you take a variable like short s equal to some 45, we want to convert into integer. So short is for 2 bytes, integer is 4 bytes. So I'm trying to convert what here? Lower to higher. So the conversion will happen automatically. If you print this n value, what value it is going to print for us? 45. So auto conversion is only implicit. One more example. If you are having a variable of type byte b equal to something like 35, I want to convert into double. We want to convert into double. Byte is 1 byte of memory, double is 8 bytes. So smaller to higher, lower to higher. So automatic conversion. Now if you print the value of d, it will go with 35.0. It's going to add a decimal point dot 0. One more example. If you take a character c equal to capital A, if you take character c equal to capital A, and if you want to try to convert into character to integer, character is 2 bytes, integer is 4 bytes. So smaller to higher here. So conversion will happen. But what is the value of n it's going to print? Can you guess the value of n here? It is 65. It is 65, which we call it as Unicode of character A. So if you remember something like ASCII codes, similar to that, we are having Unicodes. Like we are having the concept like. So when you go with the programming languages like C or C++, supports ASCII codes. C or C++ supports ASCII codes. We are having totally 256 symbols. ASCII codes are present for what? 256 symbols only. Coming to Java, .NET, PHP, Python supports Unicodes. So we are having totally Unicodes are present for 65536 symbols. 65536 symbols. And remember, ASCII codes are subset of Unicodes. So whatever the ASCII codes we are having for 256 symbols, that will remain same for Unicode also. So this 65, either you can call it as ASCII code or Unicode of character A, right? So here it's going to take the numeric value when you are doing the typecasting here, when you are converting character to integer. Clear this implicit casting? Any questions? No. Explicit casting. So when it applies explicit is converting higher data type into lower data type. Converting higher to lower. Like example, if you take long x equal to 100, we want to convert into integer. We want to convert into integer. This will go with error. This will go with what? Error. Because higher to lower, long is 8 bytes, integer is 4 bytes. You are trying to convert higher to lower, directly it is not possible. So it goes with error. But our requirement is to convert long to integer. Then we'll say it integer n equal to, in parenthesis we have to mention integer and say x here. So mentioning the data type within parenthesis, what type you want to convert, this mentioning data type in parenthesis, that concept only we call explicit. Now if you print the value of n, it is 100. One more example. If you take double d equal to some 55, we want to convert into 55 point something like 5. Now we want to convert into byte here. Goes with error. Now our requirement is to convert double to byte. So we had to say byte b equal to, in parenthesis say byte and say d. Now the value of b will be, it will take only the decimal part, that is 55. It takes only the decimal part. Fraction part is ignored. One more example. If you take integer n equal to 65, we want to convert into character, this will go with error. And how to convert into character now? Character is equal to, in parentheses, say character and say n. Now the value of C will be capital A. One more good example. If you take a variable of type float, float f equal to 35.5. I'm going float f equal to 35.5. So in float, can we store a value with a decimal point? Yes. But in Java, when you are storing a value 35.5 in float f, this will go with error in Java. Very important. This goes with error. The reason is a value with a decimal point in Java, a value with a decimal point is considered as double type. This is double type. So I'm trying to convert double to float. So double is 8 bytes, float is 4 bytes, higher to lower, not possible. So why it goes with error? In Java, a value with a decimal point is double data type. Then how to give value to float now? Float f equal to, you have to say in parenthesis float 35.5 or float f equal to 35.5 end with small f or capital F. So when you are giving value to float, we have to end with either small f or capital F. So this is important to us, right? So any questions, anyone? So whatever the learning we have done up to now, how to check whether our learning is correct or wrong? So how to check? We have to write the codes, right? So we have to open Eclipse. In project, we have to create a class. Then with main method, type the code and check whether our learning is correct or wrong. So instead of doing these many steps like opening Eclipse, creating project, creating a class with main method, typing the code and running to check the learning is correct or wrong, instead of doing these many steps only for learning purpose, whether your learning is correct or wrong. So to check that, we make use of one tool, JSHELL tool. JSHELL tool. JSHELL tool is added in Java 9 version. From Java 9 version, we can use this JSHELL tool. JSHELL is an interactive tool to execute the Java statements. So in order to execute the Java statements, we can use JSHELL tool. JSHELL is an interactive tool to execute the Java statements. Then, to open JSHELL, open command prompt or terminal. Like if I go with command prompt, we have to just use the command JSHELL, and if you press enter key, it's going to show the JSHELL prompt to us. Let me show this. Open command prompt. Open command prompt. And here we have to use which command? JSHELL. We have to use which command? JSHELL. And once we use the command JSHELL, it's going to show the prompt back to us. It will show the prompt. Now here we can go with our Java statements. Like example, if I go with the example like system.out.println, welcome to JSHELL, it's going to show the message welcome to JSHELL. So you need not create a class with main method and write the statements. Directly we can go with the statements here. Now we have discussed about default values. So what is the default value for integer? It is 0. So what is the default value for double? It is 0.0. What is the default value for boolean? False. What is the default value for reference type like string? Null. And we have discussed about typecasting. So if you take integer n equal to some something like 100, we want to convert into long. So see, automatic it's converting. If we take short s equal to some 45, we want to convert into double. See, automatic conversion. So it's adding say decimal point dot 0. Now, if you are going with character c equal to capital A, and if you are trying to convert into integer, see the value of n is 65. Coming to explicit casting, if we take long x equal to some 100, we want to convert into integer, then goes with error. Incompatible types here, possible loss of conversion from long to integer. Then how to convert? Integer n equal to, in parenthesis we add say int and say x. Now the value of n is 100. Then one more example, if you go with double, d equal to some 55.5, I want to convert into short, then goes with error. How to convert? Short s equal to, in parenthesis we have to say short and say d. Now the value of s is, say, takes only decimal part 55. If we take integer n equal to 65, we want to convert into character, goes with error. How to convert? Character c equal to, in parenthesis we have to say character and say n. Now the value of c is capital A. If you go with a variable float f equal to some 35.5, it goes with error. So you are trying to convert double to float. So a value in Java with a decimal point is double type. Now how to give value to float? We have to end with what? Either small f or capital F. Right? Clear this JSHELL tool, very simple to use. Just for learning purpose only for learning purpose. Not to create bigger projects here. Then how to come out of JSHELL? /exit. /exit will come out of JSHELL. Here written document. Which displays welcome to JSHELL. To exit at your JSHELL prompt, we have to use the command /exit, which will show the prompt back to us again. Okay, a simple introduction. So just for learning purpose, you can make use of this JSHELL tool. Right? Any questions, anyone?
No, sir.
Right. Now, in tomorrow's class, we'll continue with the remaining part where we start off with operators initially. Then we'll go with very, very important topic, scanner class. It's mainly used to read input from user. And once I go with scanner class, we'll be start writing the programs, and even I'll be giving assignments from tomorrow, which you need to do it and submit it back. Right? Yeah. So if anyone want to leave, you can leave. Sai Kant, is it ready to show the screen?
Yes, Raj. Good words.
I'll make a presenter. So can you see the option share? Yeah. So you can go with your Eclipse. Yeah, any folder. Say launch. Okay, could not launch the product because specified workspace. Okay, it's saying invalid only. Open Eclipse once again. Go with some other path like click on browse. Click on browse. Go with the C tray. C tray, only C tray. Click on C tray. Then create a new folder. Create a new folder. Something like Java programs. Java programs. Don't go with Eclipse like that. Java programs. Right. Yeah. Select this folder. Select. Now say launch. So now we can create a project. You can expand this window. Close this welcome screen. Yeah. Go to File, New, Java project. Just go to Project. Select Java project. Down. Select that Java project. And say Next. Go with some project name. Java project, something I can say. Java project. Yeah, no space. We should not have space. Then uncheck, uncheck that module and say Finish. Now open perspective. Now right click on project, Java 2024, down, under Package Explorer. Right click and say New Class. New Class, above New Class. Go with some class name like Welcome. With main method inside. Say Finish. Yeah, inside main method, write system.out.println. Go with some message. System.out.println. Yeah, within parenthesis, within double quotes, parenthesis open, within double quotes, go with some message. Double quotes, within double quotes. The message should come within double quotes. And with semicolon. Right. Now run this code. Semicolon. Yeah. Right. Now save it. Save it. Run this code. Right, it's showing, right? So no issues now. Since you are trying to create a folder in program files, it is not allowing to create. That was the problem. Okay, Saikant. Hello, Saikant.
Hello, can you hear me, Raj?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Sorry, by mistakenly I turned off my mic. Thank you.
No worries,
Appreciate it.
Okay, right.
Raj, I have one question.
Yeah.
So I've done all these things and then I closed the Eclipse, and now when I try to open the Eclipse from my desktop, it shows me that JVM is not suitable for this product.
Okay.
I guess
So
version
JVM.
21 or greater is required. That's what it's showing me.
Yeah. You can change the build path. I'll show you how to do that in tomorrow's class when I open Eclipse tomorrow. Okay. How to
Okay.
change the path. Okay,
Okay.
right.
No worries. Thank you.
Okay, right. Yeah. So thank you all, and see you tomorrow with operators and scanner class. Yeah. Thank you all.
Thank you, Raj. See you
Thank you,
tomorrow.
Raj. Bye-bye.